And we welcome you to Scotiabank Arena here north of the border in Toronto, Ontario, where we have another 2025-2026 season playthrough, a late Eastern Conference match featuring the Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors. As we look at the rookie leaderboard here, you see Cooper Flagg in the discussion. He is the front runner for Rookie of the Year despite being out for a while. But we go into this game right now with the Miami Heat. We look at the starting lineup with Davion Mitchell, Pelle Larsson, Norman Powell, Bam Adebayo, and Khalil Ware. With the Raptors with Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick, Brandon Ingram, DeMar DeRozan, a trade deadline acquisition from Sacramento with Jakob Poeltl at center. The Heat coming into this game at 35 wins and 44 losses, third in the Southeast Division, sitting in 8th in the Eastern Conference. They do have a spot in the play-in tournament as the Raptors will win the tip. The Raptors, though, at 30 and 49, sitting one game above the Washington Wizards and 3 games above the Philadelphia 76ers with 3 games to play going into tonight. As you see, Poeltl will miss that one. Khalil Ware will grab the rebound with Davion Mitchell. Dishing it over to Larsson, back over to Powell here, 14 on the shot clock. These two teams played during the post-game ticker a couple of days ago. And you see Miami shot 55% from the field in their win here in Toronto. They're looking to leave Toronto with back-to-back wins and maybe inch closer to the idle Detroit Pistons. As you see, Ware will miss that one, and Scotty Barnes with the rebound. Get over to DeMar DeRozan, and DeRozan with a bucket. That is worthy enough of the AT&T Connected Cam. DeMar DeRozan, as well as Devin Carter, came to Toronto from Sacramento in exchange for R.J. Barrett. They see Mitchell with it crossing the half-court line. But as I said, you have 3 teams, as you see, Norman Powell with the 3, and it's 3-2 Miami. And the 3 games they played so far this season, Norman Powell has averaged over 23 points a game against the Raptors. As we have 10 on the shot clock with Brandon Ingram. Dishes it back over to DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan, a former Raptor himself, actually was traded in the 2018 offseason for Kawhi Leonard, where Kawhi Leonard ended up leading the Raptors to the NBA championship in the 2019 that season. Powell for 3, no good. Poeltl will grab the rebound. See Grady Dick back over to Brandon Ingram. Ingram with the layup, and the Raptors are on top by 1. See Brandon Ingram averaging 20.1 points a game this season. Bam Adebayo dished it back over to Norman Powell, 14 on the shot clock. Powell for 3. That's in there. Norman Powell back-to-back 3s to start the game off, and it's Norman Powell 6, the Toronto Raptors 4. As we are over 2.5, almost 3 minutes into this game. See Brandon Ingram over to Grady Dick. Dick for 3. That's off the back iron. Brandon Ingram had 13 points and 4 assists in the loss against the Toronto Raptors, in the loss against the Heat. As Pelle Larsson with the 3. I believe Davion Mitchell has the assist there. DeRozan with the ball crossing the half-court line. DeRozan with the 3. That is no good. Poeltl will get the offensive rebound and the put-in. And the Raptors are within 3 here as we are about 3.5 minutes into the game. 9-6 Miami on top. Davion Mitchell back over to Powell. 12 on the shot clock. Powell for 3. No good. Poeltl will grab the rebound here for DeMar DeRozan has it. Over to Barnes. Barnes, and that's a foul called against Adebayo. As I said, going into tonight, you have a 3-way battle between Washington, Toronto, and Philadelphia for that last play-in spot in the Eastern Conference. Though Philadelphia is 3 games back, they do play tonight, as well as the Washington Wizards, who are only a game back of the Raptors. A Raptors win, though, will for sure eliminate the Sixers. As you see, the first free throw is made. And for the Heat, they are a game and a half ahead of the, sitting in 8th, they're a game and a half ahead of the Cleveland Cavaliers for 8th. As Scotty Barnes will sink them both. But a game and a half back of the idle Detroit Pistons. Both Detroit and Cleveland are idle tonight. So a chance to move further away from, as you see, Powell with another 3 there. That's 9 points for him already. All 12 points have come from beyond the arc so far early on in this game for the Miami Heat. As it's going to go out of bounds, and that will be off the Raptors, and the Heat will grab it. We'll regain possession. Again, this game is coming to you from the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario. I am Vinny from VW Productions on the call. And this is Thursday, April 9th, 2026. We have 4 nights left of this regular season, starting with, including tonight. And as I said, spots are being punched. Tickets are being punched in the playoffs. Now it is actually going to see now the order everything's going to be in. The only thing that's still up for grabs, as I say, is that last play-in spot here in the Eastern Conference. And a win for the Raptors will help them out, but a loss will give the Wizards a chance to do some damage. And Norman Powell again with another 3. That's 12 for him already early on. Timeout Raptors. We're going to take one as well. 7:01 to play in the first. As we're coming out of timeout here, we look at the last 10 games, small forward points per game for the small forward positions. You had Norman Powell and Brandon Ingram actually at 4 and 5. DeRozan will inbound it to Ingram. Ingram crossing the half-court line with the rock. If you like what you're seeing so far, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Hit the bell icon to receive notifications when these videos do come out. And also, there is a link in the description down below. Scotty Barnes for 3, no good. Larson will have it now off the Ware rebound. Mitchell over to Pella Larson. Over to Powell. Powell, and he's going to go to the line shooting 1 as Brandon Ingram called for his first. First team foul called against the Raptors here, and this will have a chance to have the first non-3-pointer points via beyond the arc. First time that the Heat have an opportunity to not get any points from beyond the arc. And they do exactly that as the first free throw is made. Again, there will be a link to my Cash App in the description down below. It is not mandatory for you to donate. It's just appreciative if you do donate to help support this channel. But if you can't afford to give, hey, you know what? Watching this video is helping support this channel anyway. As Norman Powell hit them both. Scotty Barnes. Back over to Jakob Poeltl to Grady Dick. Dick for 3, no good. Adebayo grabbing a rebound. Baseball pass over to Pella Larson. Larson coming around. That is no good. Grady Dick grabbing a rebound. Over to Scotty Barnes here as we're approaching the halfway point of the first quarter. DeRozan with the bucket. And the Raptors are within 7. Davion Mitchell with it crossing the rock. Our half-court line here. Pella Larson dishing it back over to Norman Powell. 14 on the shot clock. Powell for 3. That's all no good. Poeltl will grab the rebound. Grady Dick with it. Dishing it back over to DeMar DeRozan. Second stint, at least in this universe, he's on the second stint with the Raptors. That's no good. Adebayo grabbing the rebound. Look at Norman Powell dishing it back over to Larson. I thought he dangerously came close to stepping out of bounds. Mitchell coming around. Mitchell with the layup. That is no good. See, Pella Larson, the last time these two teams met their last game, scored 16 points and 3 assists. As I said, it took till this late in the season for Miami to make their first trip to Toronto, and they're playing on back-to-back games. Second time in 3 nights that these two teams have played. The first time we've seen them in a watch game, though, as Davion Mitchell with a 3. Timeout. Raptors, 4:38 to play in the first. We're going to take another timeout. And now we're going to have some substitutions coming into the game. Let's look at the lineup set here. Adebayo and Ware staying in the game. Yakachonis, Wiggins coming into the game now. And looking at the Raptors, let's see here. Ingram stays in with Walter, Larson, Barnes, and couldn't really get that last name there for the Raptors. They went a little too fast. Walter, as they come, checks into the game. Ingram still in for the Raptors. Let's see here. 4 on the shot clock. Coming around, and Ingram. That's no good. Jaime Jaquez Jr. with the rebound to Andrew Wiggins. Over to Yakachonis. Yakachonis with his first points off the bench, and it's 22-10. Miami right now. Scotty Barnes with it. Gonna try to come around now, thinking about it. 18 of the 22 points, though, for the Heat so far have been beyond the arc. Barnes had 34 points in that loss a couple nights ago, as Ware will grab the rebound. Yakachunas will have it. So that actually was the first shot from the field, inside shot from the field that was made the last trip around. Gives it back over to Adebayo. Adebayo with the layup. That's in there. So the Heat can shoot from inside the arc. Last 2 buckets have been the case. See Scotty Barnes with it, trailing by 14. Over to Brandon Ingram. Ingram with the slam dunk. You see Brandon Ingram averaging 20.1 points a game. You see Andrew Wiggins, the native Canadian. Over to Yakachonis. Back over to Wiggins. Wiggins dishing it back to Jaquez Jr. Jaquez Jr., that's off the back iron. Lawson will grab the rebound. Walter has it for the Toronto Raptors. Over to Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes with a slam dunk. And suddenly the Raptors are within 10. Raptors within 10, I should say. But it's still a 15-6 run. Wiggins coming around. Andrew Wiggins will get his first points of the game. And the Heat 9 of 18 shooting, while the Raptors shooting 6 of 18. See, Jacoby Walter had 14 points and 2 assists in that loss to the Heat. As I said, looking at the if you include that post-game ticker, these two teams did meet up in the post-game ticker, as we have a timeout called by the Heat. 1:53 to play. The Heat up by 10. We're going to take a timeout. And now let's look at the top lineups being set coming out of the timeout here. So we have Smith, Powell, Wiggins, Hawkins Jr., and Jovic. And Jovic, I should say. And let's see now. For the Raptors, Walter, Larson, DeRozan, Agbaje, and I think it's I know it starts with an M. Haven't seen him have the ball yet, but I know he's number 2 on the court for the Raptors. Smith with it. Over to Jovic. Back over to Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins coming around, back over to Jaime Jaquez Jr., back over to Smith. Smith with the layup. That's in there. It's a 12-point lead for the Heat. Glad to see the bench is starting to show some contribution for the Heat right now. Leading it by 12. Mogbo, that's who it was. Agbaji. Or Baji. Back over to DeRozan. 4 on the shot clock. Agbaji for 3. No good. Powell will grab the rebound. Wiggins over to Smith. Smith's going to come around with the layup. It's a 14-point lead, as you see the Heat shooting 11 of 20 compared to the Raptors 7 of 20. Walter under a minute to play here in the first. DeRozan with it. Got 13 on the shot clock. DeRozan with a jumper. That's in there. DeMar DeRozan. For the purposes in this universe for my season playthrough, he is in his second tenure with the Raptors. Jovic coming around. Jovic with the bucket. The Raptors have been shown 3 times in my season playthrough. They lost all 3 times. Have not been seen since schedule block number 2 out. The Heat has been shown twice. They lost both times, and somebody's going to walk away with the first win in the watch game. Mogbo. That is no good. Hawkins Jr. will grab the rebound. There's Smith. Over to Wiggins. Wiggins. That is no good, and that will do it for the end of the first quarter. The Miami Heat leading 32-18. You're watching the 2025-2026 season playthrough here on my YouTube channel. We'll be back to start the second quarter. Get ready to start the second quarter. We got Hawkins Jr. inbounding it to Powell to start the second quarter. I said the Heat sitting in that 8th spot, a game and a half ahead of the Cavaliers, but a game and a half behind the Pistons for number 7. A win, as you see, Fontecchio. Over to Powell. Powell for 3. No good. Mogbo grabbing the rebound with DeRozan with it. I said DeRozan, as you see, Powell, Wiggins, Jovic, Fontecchio, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. out on the lineup, out on the floor for the Heat. DeRozan with it. 5 on the shot clock. That is no good. Fontecchio getting the rebound. Players you will not see for the Heat. Tyler Hero, he is out. He's going to be out long enough to at least miss the play-in, and should they get into the NBA playoffs, the NBA playoff series, at least the first round, depending on his severity of that injury. We will look at the injury report coming up soon, as Lawson's going to come around with the layup, and the Raptors are within 12. Hawkins Jr. will inbound it to Powell. Powell crossing the half-court line. As I said, this game is coming to you from the Scotiabank Center. I am Vinny from VW Productions on the call. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and hit the bell icon to receive notifications when these videos do come out, as Andrew Wiggins with the slam dunk, putting the Heat up by 14 again. And then once again, as I said, it's not required, but there is a link to my Cash App in the description down below. You do not have to donate to enjoy my content. As you see, DeMar DeRozan with the bucket there. And the Raptors within 12 here, as we have 2 minutes into the second quarter. Jovic. Should back over to Powell. Norman Powell back over to Wiggins. There you go. Wiggins with a jumper. That's in there. Andrew Wiggins only had 9 points and 4 assists in that win against the Toronto Raptors, but I think he's doing a little bit better so far in this game. DeRozan. There's a jumper, and that's in there. 2.5 minutes into the second quarter. Jovic inbound to get to Fontecchio. Norman Powell. There's a jumper right there. That's in there. Timeout Heat, or timeout Raptors. That's 16 for Norman Powell. We're going to take a timeout with 9:13 to play in the second. We look at Pelle Larsson. He's only shooting 40% this season, but you look at the last 10 games, shooting 51%, and the efficiency 63% here. You see Powell, Jovic, Fontecchio, Wiggins, and Hawkins Jr. still out on the court. You look at that scoreboard, but Agbaje has it again, as you see DeRozan coming around over to Mogbo. Over to Murray Boyles, who's checked in for the first time in this game, as Jovic will get the rebound. Fontecchio has it for now. Wiggins coming around with the slam dunk. I believe he's in double figures, or close to double figures already for the Heat, coming off the bench. 16-point lead for Miami. So they met up a couple of nights ago. That result of that game was on the post-game ticker with the Heat winning. The Heat are looking to try to escape, to leave Toronto with 2 wins in a little mini series. Let's see Powell with it. They should back over to Jovic. Fontecchio, 4 on the shot clock. They should have back over to Norman Powell, who has 16 points in this game. Make that 18. And the margin of lead is 18 now. And he's plus 18 out on the court. 18 Wild. DeRozan. They should have back over to Agbaji. And he'll miss that one. Jovic will grab the rebound. See, Norman Powell has it now. I said 18 points. Back over to Andrew Wiggins. A native Canadian. Back over to Powell. Wiggins has it. 3 on the shot clock. Wiggins, deep 3. No good. Walter with it. DeRozan for 3. He drains it. Timeout, Heat. 7:07 to play in the second. We're going to take a timeout. As we're coming out of the timeout here, let's look at the Heat lineup set. Powell, Larson, Wiggins, Adebayo, and Ware. And for the Raptors, let's see how their lineup is set here. Mogwell's still in, but we got Barnes, Walter, Ingram, and DeRozan. That is a lineup set for both teams. As I said earlier, the Heat sitting in 8th place. As I said, a game and a half ahead of the idle Cavaliers and a game and a half back of the idle Pistons. As Bam Adebayo with a bucket, and it's a 17-point lead for the Heat. They led by as many as 18 before the three-pointer by DeRozan before leading into that timeout. So a chance to move a half game closer to further ahead of the Cavaliers and a half game closer to the Detroit Pistons, as there's a three-pointer made by Scotty Barnes. The lead is down to 14. Over to Andrew Wiggins. Back over to Adebayo. Adebayo for 3. No good. Barnes will grab the rebound. Walter with it. Over to DeRozan. DeRozan for 3. No good. Larson. Get back over to Wiggins. Over to Norman Powell. Powell coming around. Dish it over to Ware. Ware for 3. No good. DeRozan grabbing the rebound. And then for the Raptors, they're sitting in that 10th spot, one game ahead of the Washington Wizards, who are playing tonight, and the 3 games ahead of the 76ers, who are also playing tonight, as Scotty Barnes with the bucket, cutting the deficit now to 12. The largest margin of deficit for a comeback belongs to the New York Knicks. They were down by 19 in the game against the Pistons. As DeRozan's coming around, and he brings the Raptors to within 10. DeRozan with 15 points. 8 of those in the paint here as we're under 5 minutes to play in the second quarter. That game was one of those games where I did not have a voice at all, so I did not bother doing any commentary except for the post-game ticker and the injury report and the sign-off. DeRozan coming around. And DeRozan with the bucket, and the Raptors are within 8. 4:27 to play until halftime. Norman Powell, there's a jump shot. No good. Mogbo grabbing the rebound. DeMar DeRozan has it here, crossing the half-court line. Ingram back over to Mogbo. DeMar DeRozan. 10 on the shot clock. DeRozan, jumper, no good. Adebayo grabbing a rebound. Norman Powell. They should back over to Wiggins. Speaking of this, the game, of course, is Monday. The game of the day of the upload, of course, if you watch this and when it comes out, will be Monday, February 9th, 2026. As you see, Pelle Larsson with a three-pointer putting the Heat back up by double digits. Walter for 3. No good. Adebayo grabbing a rebound. And, of course, that will be the day after the Super Bowl. There was no game that was uploaded yesterday because I did not want anybody to have to watch a game on Super Bowl Sunday. It probably would not have gotten that much ratings anyway. See Walter with the rebound. Scotty Barnes has it for the Raptors. But I want to hear reactions from both Seahawk and Patriot fans if you're watching this. How you thought about the Super Bowl. They see Wiggins. They should have back over to Powell. Norman Powell, 9 on the shot clock. Powell with the layup. That's in there. Norman Powell, and the lead is up to 13 again. The Raptors got it to within 8, and now it's back to a 13-point lead again. As I said, for the purposes of the stream, DeRozan is in his second tenure with the Raptors, and he was with the Raptors. Then he got traded to the Spurs in the summer of 2018. And that for Kawhi Leonard, in that first year with Kawhi Leonard, the only year with Kawhi Leonard being a Raptor, they win the NBA championship. Khalil Ware dishes it over to Wiggins. Wiggins for 3, no good. Mogwell grabbing a rebound here. Scotty Barnes with it. Over to Walter. Walter over to DeRozan. Back over to Barnes. 10 on the shot clock. 3-point. That is going to be falling out. Adebayo grabbing a rebound. Bella Larson. A minute 15 here. Norman Powell for 3. No good. Ingram grabbing a rebound. DeMar DeRozan with it. Here, as you see, Norman Powell has 20 points, down 7-15, shooting 4 of 10 from 3. DeRozan back over to Ingram. 8 on the shot clock. Ingram back over to DeRozan. 3 on the shot clock. Under a minute to play. From the free throw line. That is no good. Bam Adebayo grabbing a rebound. We got Andrew Wiggins. Dishing it back over to Khalil Ware. Over to Norman Powell. Powell. Khalil Ware with the slam dunk on the alley-oop. And it's a 15-point lead for the Heat. Under 30 seconds to play until halftime. DeRozan. 8 on the shot clock. DeRozan misses that one. Adebayo with the rebound. Shot clock turned off. Question is, are they going to hold on for it? Are they going to try to be aggressive? And they were aggressive there. And Barnes will get the rebound here. Barnes. There's a 3-point attempt. And no good. And that will do it for the first half. The Heat leading the Raptors 51-36 as we head to the halftime. I am Vinny from VW Productions. You're watching the 2025-2026 season playthrough, and we are going to bring it to the halftime report after this interview that you cannot hear the audio for with Eric Spoelstra. All right, we're getting ready to start the second half here in Toronto. The Heat leading it by 15. As we look at Norman Powell, he has 20 points in this first half. He has shot a bunch of three-pointers in this game, so leading the way for the Heat in this game. As I said, the Heat. As I said, this is not like the best game on paper, but definitely a meaningful game on paper as both teams have something to play for. As I said, I mentioned before, as you see, there is Khalil Ware with another offensive rebound and a slam dunk, and it's a 17-point lead for the Heat. Excuse me for just... Excuse me. Ingram there with the shot up. That's in there. Brandon Ingram had 6 points in that first half. Now he has a total of 8. Excuse me there, as there is an and one opportunity as DeMar DeRozan called for the foul. Norman Powell had 20 points. Now he's at 22 with a chance to make it 23 in the night. And a chance to extend the lead back to tie their largest margin of lead right now. And that was 18. That was earlier in the second quarter. Trying to figure out the right term. He will miss it anyway as Pirtle will grab the rebound. But as I mentioned, though, this game does have a meaning despite both the records, as the Heat at 30 and 49 are one game ahead of the Wizards for the 10th and final play-in spot, as Davion Mitchell passing it back over to Larson, over to Powell. Powell for 3. Norman Powell. That's 20-point lead now. Norman Powell with 25 points, putting the Heat up by 20. Their largest margin of lead in this game. But as I said, the Raptors won going into this game. Going into tonight, they had 3 games to play, as Pirtle's going to go to the line with an and one opportunity as Ware called for his first personal foul. Jakob Pirtle trying to complete the 3-point play here to get the Raptors within 17. As I said, the Raptors coming into tonight 1 game ahead of the Washington Wizards and 3 games ahead of the Philadelphia 76ers for that final play-in spot. All 3 teams have 3 games to play going into tonight, and all 3 are playing on the scheduled calendar day, as I mentioned, will be Thursday, April 9, 2026. Powell coming around with the slam dunk. Norman Powell, that's 27 for him, and it's a 19-point lead for the Heat again as we're approaching 2 minutes into the third quarter. 15 on the shot clock. DeRozan coming around with it. 6 on the shot clock. DeRozan coming around with a bucket. DeMar DeRozan has 19 points on this game. That's Khalil Ware with the slam dunk, and the Heat are up by 19 again. Davion Mitchell being called, getting the assist there. So I can tell you that a Raptors win will eliminate the Sixers, but a loss will keep them alive for right now. Oh, there's a block by Khalil Ware. Davion Mitchell has it for the Heat. Over to Bam Adebayo. Ware for 3. That is off the back iron. DeRozan will grab the rebound here. Scotty Barnes for the Toronto Raptors. Ingram holding it. 6 on the shot clock here. Brandon Ingram, it looked like he tried to step out of bounds. Ingram with a shot up. That is no good. Pirtle will get the offensive rebound and the put in. 3.5 minutes into the third quarter is 62-45. Heat this game coming to you from the Scotiabank Arena. That is off the back iron. No good. DeRozan will get the rebound. I believe that's Scotty Barnes with the layup there. DeRozan with the assist, and the Heat the Raptors are within 15. Pelle Larsson holding on to it. And there's another alley-oop, and once again it's Khalil Ware with the dunk on that alley-oop. 64-47, and we have a timeout called by the Raptors. 7:50 to play in the third. We're going to take a timeout as well. As we look at that, DeMar DeRozan, his points per game on average here the last few seasons, you see it going down slightly. If you enjoy what you're seeing so far, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and also hit the bell icon to receive notifications when these videos do drop. And also don't forget to, I should say don't forget, but if you feel inclined, because you don't have to, as Grady Dick is in there, Grady Dick for three. And the Raptors are within 14. But if you feel inclined, there is a link to my Cash App in the description down below. It is not required for you to donate to enjoy my content, but it'd be much appreciated to have further support of this content. But if you can't, that's fine. Just you subscribing to my channel as well as watching my videos, that's great enough support there. As we see Scotty Barnes dishing it over 8 on the shot clock. Ingram for three. Off the back iron. Davion Mitchell grabbing the rebound. Pelle Larsson. Ware for three. That is off the back iron. Bam Adebayo. Dishing it over to Powell. And Powell will go to the line shooting three. DeMar DeRozan called for his second personal foul. Second team foul called against the Heat, or against the Raptors. Remember, when this game is over with, we are not done yet. We're still going to go over the statistics as well, player stats, as well as the post-game ticker to see how this race for the final spot. As you see, Powell will make the first one to put the Heat up by 15. The post-game ticker, as well as the injury report, and then the sign-up where I'll announce tomorrow's game. After tonight, we only got 3 more days left of the regular season. This is the final stretch of the regular season on my season playthrough. I'm hoping by the weekend that we will have the play-in games. And then I'm going to take a few days off to get a few of the actual NBA playoff games uploaded, as Powell will sink all 3 of them. It's a 17-point lead for the Miami Heat. Back over to Grady Dick to Scotty Barnes. Barnes back over to Ingram. 10 on the shot clock. Barnes for three. No good. Larsson will grab the rebound. Over to Ware. Khalil Ware with the slam dunk. And the Miami Heat are up by 19 again. Largest lead was 20 for them, and that was earlier here in the third quarter. Grady Dick. That's a pass. Shot up. No good. Khalil Ware grabbing the rebound. Over to Norman Powell. Powell. Over to Larsson. Larsson layup opportunity, but that's off the back iron. Grady Dick grabbing the rebound for the Heat. Get it over to Scotty Barnes. And there's a shot up. That's in there. Davion Mitchell holding on to that. Adebayo back over to Mitchell to Larsson. Larsson back to Khalil Ware. 6 on the shot clock. Larsson. That's no good. Ingram will grab the rebound here as we're approaching the final 5 minutes of the third quarter. 69-52. Pirtle. Is it over to DeRozan. DeRozan for three off the back iron, and that's going to go out of bounds, and that will be Heat ball. As we look at small forwards again for the last 30 days. Steals per game from the small forwards as Norman Powell third in the league here as we have our first set of substitutions. Let's see how the lineups are set. Davion Mitchell to the bench for Norman Powell moving to the point guard. Andrew Wiggins coming back into the game for the Heat. And for the Raptors, Walter and Mbogbo are in the game. Adebayo got 4:40 to play. in the third quarter, I should say. Adebayo, that shot's no good. DeRozan will grab the rebound. Damn, Adebayo only has 4 points on 2 of 6 shooting. 8 rebounds, though. DeRozan for 3. That is no good. Larson will grab the rebound. Larson over to Powell. Powell for 3. No good. Ingram grabbing a rebound. Under 4 minutes of play in the third. DeRozan from the free throw line. That's in there, and the Raptors within 15. DeMar DeRozan, 21 points. 14 of the 21 come from inside the paint. Norman Powell. Pushes it back over to Wiggins. Wiggins will take the three-point shot. No good. Scotty Barnes grabbing the rebound. DeRozan. Pushes it back to Barnes over to Ingram. Ingram coming around, and he's going to go to the line as Ware will be called for his second personal foul. That is the second team foul also called against the Heat. Brandon Ingram going to the line shooting 2. The Raptors, as I said, have a chance to inch closer to getting to that number 10 spot here. As we see a bunch of substitutions for the Heat and didn't get a chance to look at the lineup set. We got Walter, AJ Lawson back in the game. As we have a timeout called by the Heat. 3:18 to play in the third. We're going to take a timeout. Coming out of the timeout here, the Heat leading it by 13. As we see Agbadi, Ingram, Mogbo, Lawson, and Walter. We looking through the scoreboards there. That is the lineup set for the for the Toronto Raptors. Hawkes Jr., Yakachonis. Jovic, as well as Wiggins and Adebayo. Adebayo with the slam dunk. Bam Adebayo putting the Heat up by 15. I believe he now has 6 points in this game. Mogbo. Back over to Agbaji. For 3. No good. Wiggins will grab the rebound. Get over there, Andrew Wiggins. Back over to Yakachunas. Adebayo passing it back over to Yakachonis. Jovic. 5 on the shot clock over to Wiggins. 3 on the shot clock. Wiggins for 3. Wiggins nails the 3. It's an 18-point lead for the Heat. With 2:10 to play in the third. We have 15 on the shot clock. Ingram. 3. No good. Yakachunas will grab the rebound. Under 2 minutes to play here in the third. See Adebayo. Dishing it back over to Hawkes Jr. Hawkes Jr. for 3 off the back iron. Walter will grab the rebound. Walter with it. Dishing it over to Ingram. Ingram with a dunk. Both teams are... no, the Heat is shooting 48%. The Raptors are now shooting at 40%. They've been not really good at all shooting-wise for the Raptors. Wiggins over to Adebayo. Adebayo with the layup. Nice ball movement there by Andrew Wiggins with that assist. That could be a YouTube short. Who knows? Mogbo for 3. No good. Yakachonis will get the rebound. Hawkes Jr. Back over to Jovic. Yakachonis for 3. No good. Agbaji will have it for the Toronto Raptors. Ingram coming around. Here at a very quiet Scotiabank Arena. And that is no good. Hawkes Jr. with the rebound. Andrew Wiggins. Holding on to it as we are 20 seconds to play here in the third. And there is a layup by Wiggins. It's a 20-point lead for the Heat. 13 seconds left to play in the third. Walter probably just going to hold on for the last shot. There's a shot up. No good, and that will do it. We are at the end of the third quarter. It's been all Heat. They lead at 78-58. You're watching the 2025-2026 season playthrough here on the V-Dub Productions channel. Getting ready to start the fourth quarter. We have the State Farm assist of the game, and that's going to go to Pella Larson. That was a hell of a pass to Khalil Ware on that layup. Murray Boyles into the game to start the fourth quarter. Here you see some of the crowd filing out here at the Scotiabank Arena. Heading into the Toronto night. Powell, Wiggins, Jovic, Fontecchio, and Hawkes Jr. The lineup set for the Heat. As you see Murray Boyles. He will get the 2 points there. A.J. Lawson with the assist. He is also out on the court to start the fourth quarter. Wiggins for three. No good. Agbaji also out on the court for the Raptors. Over to Walter. Over to Agbaji. Back to Murray Boyles. Murray Boyles for three. No good. Fontecchio grabbing a rebound. Fontecchio back over to Jovic. Back over to Wiggins. Wiggins back to Jovic. Over to Fontecchio to Wiggins. 6 on the shot clock. Wiggins for three. No good. Murray Boyles will get the rebound. DeRozan has it. 13 on the shot clock here. DeRozan with the layup. That's in there. DeMar DeRozan with 23 points, bringing the Heat or the Raptors within 16. Jovic. She's back over to Powell. Powell's had himself a great game. Fontecchio for three. That's in there. It's a 19-point lead for the Heat once again. Largest lead has been 20. I see DeRozan coming around with a jump shot. That's in there. I said DeRozan's having a good game. He's had pretty good games, actually, in watch games, whether it was his two with the Kings or his only appearance right now as a Raptor. Walter coming around. Walter with the bucket. That's in there. It's a 15. The Raptors within 15. With 9:20 left to play in the game. Timeout, Miami. We're going to take a timeout as well with 9:19 left to play. Looking at the lineup set coming out of the timeout here for the Miami Heat. Powell, Wiggins, Hawkes Jr., Jovic, and Adebayo coming back into the game. Or Adebayo moving to center, I should say. And now we got Ingram coming back into the game while the rest are going to stay on the court for the Raptors. I know I mentioned the reactions for the Super Bowl, especially for the Patriots and the Seahawks fan, as the Super Bowl was last night. Anybody else that's watching this right now, watching the Winter Olympics? I have caught a couple of the curling matches. And I caught a couple of the women's hockey. I know men's hockey is getting ready to start this week. Agbaji with it. Ingram, no good. And for the first time, actually, since 2014, we have NHL players playing in the Olympics. Of course, I am Team USA, but then there are players like Macklin Celebrini, being the Sharks fan, that I kind of rooting for too, for Team Canada. And there's a shot up there. No good. Sorry about that, everybody. As we're under 8.5 left to play in the fourth. Again, a Heat win will get them to within one game of the Pistons with 2 to play for that 7 spot. And I'm sure the Heat right now are just more concerned about maybe playing in that 7-8 game They would love to host it. Don't get me wrong. I think teams would love to host a 7-8 game, but I'm sure teams would rather be the home team in the 7-8 game than be the home team in the 9-10 game. Because whether you're the 7 or the 8, you only have to win one game to get into the playoffs. As Norman Powell with the slam dunk. Bam Adebayo with the assist. I mean, let me tell you, man, Adebayo, I mean, he's not getting anything with the scoring wise, but he is doing other things. As Powell will grab the rebound. See Jaime Jaquez Jr. His team up by 17. Back over to Wiggins. Wiggins, jumper. That is no good. Jovic will get the offensive rebound. Back over to Powell. Powell for three. He nails it. Norman Powell has had himself a game tonight. And the Heat up by 20 again. The Heat right now are 6:54 away from getting their first win in a watched game, and that'll be a huge win this late in the season. DeRozan. That is no good. He beats the shot clock, but it doesn't really matter because he missed it anyway. Back over to Norman Powell. Powell's coming around. He passes up a layup. Jovic with the three-pointer there. It is a 23-point lead for the Heat. Their largest. 6:15 left to play in the fourth. Ingram coming around the layup. That's in there. DeRozan with the assist. As we are now at the halfway point of the fourth quarter. 21-point lead. Say this, though. With the Raptors, a loss for the Raptors will guarantee that that last play-in team will have at least 50 losses. Now, it's highly unlikely they'll win 2 games, but we don't know, though. That's why they play the games. Adebayo coming around. Get it over to Norman Powell. Powell back over to Wiggins. 5 on the shot clock. Wiggins, deep 2. That's in there. Andrew Wiggins had himself a game off the bench. As we are looking for some of these players that are probably going to try to come into the game if there's a stoppage of play. I wouldn't be surprised if both teams are going to empty their benches. You see Ingram coming around with the layup. Brandon Ingram with 18 points. But he is a putrid minus 21 on the court. Jovic coming around for Powell. Powell's coming around the layup. That's in there. Norman Powell putting the Heat up by 23. I'm kind of curious to see what his actual stats are for Norman Powell. I know he's got to be over 30 points, probably closer to 40. Adebayo will grab the rebound. Over to Jaime Jaquez Jr. Over to Jovic. Wiggins. No good. Murray Boyles. Over to Agbaji. Dishing it back over to Brandon Ingram here as we're under 4 minutes to play. Ingram passing it back over to DeRozan, but DeRozan thought about it but passed up the 3. He instead he's going to shoot the 2 there, and that will come in. Norman Powell crossing the rock. Powell with it. Back over to Wiggins. Wiggins for 3. No good. DeRozan grabbing a rebound here. 3:20 to play in the fourth. Murray Boyles. Has it back over to Ingram here. 3:12. Oh, wow. Look at that. Faked him out for a second. Is it going to really matter, though? Ingram. That will not matter about the fake out because that's a miss anyway. Under 3 minutes to play here in Toronto, and Powell. That is no good. Ingram will get the rebound. I know I mentioned earlier that they are without the services of Tyler Hero, but also an indefinite suspension to Terry Rozier early on. I think maybe it was a couple weeks into this season playthrough project, but I know when I started it, it was at the very beginning of the NBA season. I see Norman Powell with the dunk and timeout called by the Raptors. 2:16 to play in the fourth. We're going to take a timeout. Some last-minute substitutions here, and we got Smith, Fontecchio, Jovic, and really it's not going to really get a chance. It's not going to matter. Barnes, Dick, Ingram, DeRozan. As you see, Grady Dick with it over to Scotty Barnes. Ingram for three. That's in there. Brandon Ingram has 21 points. He has 7 in this fourth quarter. But either way, they're 2 minutes away from their 50th loss. And as of right now, as you see, Wiggins with the slam dunk. And as of right now, we'll get the Wizards to within a half a game, depending on how the post-game ticker goes, and will momentarily also keep the 76ers alive. As you see, Smith. Actually, no, I'm not sure how that would work. Actually, no, if the Wizards do win and the Sixers win, I think the Sixers do still stay alive. Fontecchio for three. And the Heat will reach the century mark in this game. Get over the Pirtle. 9 on the shot clock. Back over to Grady Dick. Grady Dick. That is off the back iron. Pirtle will get the rebound, and he'll get the points there. Dominant effort by the Miami Heat from start to finish. I think they may have trailed maybe a couple times in the early part of the first quarter, and there is an illegal screen called against Jovic. More substitutions as maybe the benches are going to be emptied out. Johnson is going to be coming into the game now for the Heat. And let's see here. Garrett Temple actually making an appearance into this game. So yeah, Battle as well. Battle's going to at least get some points on the board. Coming off the bench, a deep bench player. "30 seconds on the shot clock. Over to Jovic. Back over to Wiggins. Wiggins with a deep jump shot. That is no good. Murray Boyles will grab the rebound. And do they try to at least get points? Maybe Garrett Temple might want to take a shot to get some points. No, he's just going to hold on to it. And the Miami Heat, in a very dominant effort tonight, will get their 36th victory of the season. They will move to within 1 game of the Idle Pistons for 7th, and now move 2 games ahead of the Cleveland Cavaliers with 2 games to play. For the punch there, the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, and for the Raptors, here as you see Norman Powell, player of the game. For the Raptors, they will now fall to their lead in that for that 10 spots, now only down to a half a game, depending on the post-game ticker. Stay tuned, we are not done yet. Time to look at the post-game player statistics here. We start off with the Toronto Raptors here. DeMar DeRozan, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, with Brandon Ingram at 23.6 rebounds, 4 assists. Scotty Barnes, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Jakob Poeltl, 9 points and 8 rebounds. Grady Dick, 3 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Jacoby Walter only had 2 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal. AJ Lawson, 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Colin Murray Boyles, 2 points and 4 rebounds. We got Jamison Battle coming into those last minute or so, getting 2 points very quickly off the bench. Jonathan Mogbo, only 6 rebounds, 1 assist. Ochai Agbaji, or Bahi, however you pronounce his name. He only had 3 rebounds in the game. Garrett Temple got a minute in the game, and that's actually everybody who was eligible to play in this game. Played in this game for the Toronto Raptors. And now time for the Miami Heat statistics here. We have Norman Powell leading the way, player of the game with 39 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Andrew Wiggins, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. A double-double for Khalil Ware, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. Bam Adebayo with 8 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists. Pelle Larsson, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He had a hell of an assist that got the State Farm assist of the game. Simone Fontecchio, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Nikola Jovic, 5 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, followed by Drew Smith, 4 points. Davion Mitchell, 3 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Kasparis Yakichonis, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Then we got Jaime Jaquez Jr., 5 rebounds and 3 assists. Kasheed Johnson only had 1 minute to play. And everybody who was eligible to play for the Miami Heat got into the game as well. And that is it for your post-game player statistics. Now stay tuned for the post-game ticker. Time for the post-game ticker brought to you by 2K Sports, and this is for the games on Thursday, April 9th, 2026. A game that we just watched. The Heat defeat the Raptors 100-81. As I said, the Heat now move to within 1 game of the Detroit Pistons, who are idle for the 7th spot, but now move 2 games ahead of the Cavaliers in that 8th spot with 2 games to play. Basically, almost essentially clinching themselves at least the 8th seed, so where they could play in that 7-8 game for the Eastern Conference play-in tournament, only having to win 1 game to make the NBA playoffs. The Bulls, 137-96 winners of the Washington Wizards, so the Raptors still will remain a full game ahead of the Wizards. Both teams have 2 games left to play. The Bulls are now 2 games ahead of the Milwaukee Bucks with 2 games to play, so they will at least finish tied for the Central Division lead. The Pacers, 103-96 winners over the Brooklyn Nets. They now move ahead of the Orlando Magic for 5th in the Western Conference, and the Pacers are guaranteed at least a 500 season. The Knicks were upset at home by the Boston Celtics, 131-126. Now the Knicks fall 2 games behind the Clippers and the Thunder for the top spot in the entire league. And we got the Rockets, 154-122 winners over the Philadelphia 76ers. Now the 76ers are mathematically eliminated from that 10th seed. Their season will come to an end after that 82nd game. And the Warriors upset the Lakers 124-117, thus keeping them a game back of the Timberwolves for the 4th seed, and also guaranteeing the Houston Rockets will have home court in the first round of the NBA playoffs, since now the Rockets cannot finish any worse than the 4th seed. And also with that win, puts the Warriors a game ahead of the Mavericks for that 7th spot. And because that is important also, because as I said, they would love to host that 7-8 play-in game. And that will do it for the post-game ticker. As my buddy RJL Network would say, if your team won, congratulations. If not, there's always tomorrow. It is now time for the injury report for the games played after April 9th, 2025. We have Jarrett McCain and Joel Embiid on the injury list. Gary Trent Jr. hurt designation. We had the Chicago Bulls, Chris Paul on the list. Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell, Luke Trevors out for the Cavaliers. We had the Celtics, they're fully healthy, doesn't really matter. For the Clippers, Jevin Carter and Ivica Zubac are on the injured list. For the Grizzlies, we got Jalen Wells. Hawks are fully healthy. The Heat are, of course, without Rozier with his indefinite suspension for his in real life involvement in the betting scandal or gambling ring. That also, or where he was arrested for, as well as former Portland Trailblazer head coach Chauncey Billups. Tyler Hero is out, though, 2 to 4 weeks with the right hand fracture. That means he'll miss the play-in as well as possibly the first round series. And depending on how that goes, he might be out for the season. For the Hornets, Brandon Miller, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Pat Connaughton. Though Connaughton is recovering, but it's not going to really matter. Hornets are out. Jazz fully healthy, and so are the Kings, but that doesn't matter. OG Anunoby is still out for another 2 to 4 weeks, with Miles McBride now recovering from that hip injury. Austin Reeves out for the Lakers. Orlando Magic fully healthy. PJ Washington, Cooper Flagg, and Najee Marshall are out on the injured list for the Mavericks. Brooklyn Nets are still without Zaire Williams, Michael Porter Jr., and Noah Clowney. They're basically out for the season. Denver Nuggets fully healthy. We knew about Halliburton's injury. Now Isaiah Jackson is on the injured list, as well as Benedict Mathurin actually recovering. Pelicans fully healthy. Pistons are without LeVert, and then Saucer is hurt. And Devin Carter, Emmanuel Quickley, and Sandro Mamakala-Kalalashvili, they are hurt. And I think maybe 2K may have done a proper update because neither of those three played in the game, or they were not even on the active roster. Fred VanVleet is out, of course, for the season with Jabari Smith Jr. hurt. Dylan Harper and Kelly Olynyk out, as Harper's out for the season. That's it for his rookie season. Kelly Olynyk also out 2 to 4 weeks, so if they do make the playoffs, he'll miss at least the first round series. Dylan Brooks, Ryan Dunn are out, and Maluch is hurt. Aaron Wiggins out for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he's out 6 to 8 weeks, so he's going to miss a big part of that playoff run should they make a deep run. Timberwolves fully healthy. Damian Lillard, we knew he was done for the season even before the season started, with Robert Williams III day-to-day. Brandon Podziemski out for the season, so he's going to miss that play-in game. Jonathan Kuminga, who for these purposes is still a Warrior in this universe. However, we did know recently he was traded to the Atlanta Hawks. He and Buddy Hield to Atlanta for Kristaps Porzingis. And the Washington Wizards are without Alex Sarr. And that is your injury report. Tomorrow night, we head to the Western Conference, where we see the Houston Rockets will host the Minnesota Timberwolves. We got the Rockets sitting in the 3rd seed, and they have clinched at least home court in the first round, but they are 2 games ahead of the 4th seed Minnesota Timberwolves. Both teams have 2 games left to play in the regular season. Both teams, as I said, are in the actual NBA playoffs in the Western Conference, avoiding the play-in. It is a huge game, as I said, because a Rockets win will give them the 3 seed. However, a Timberwolves win will get them a game, will put them a game behind Houston with 1 to play. And then also, if the Timberwolves win and the Lakers lose, which they will be playing on this calendar night of April 10, 2026, because all 30 teams are playing on this calendar day. So a win by the Timberwolves and a loss by the Lakers will give the Timberwolves at least home court in the first round, relegating the Lakers to be no better than the 5th seed. So that is tomorrow's game. Rockets and the Timberwolves from the Toyota Center in Houston. And that will do it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to receive notifications when these videos do come out. And with that, remind you guys, the final score of tonight's game, the Miami Heat defeat the Toronto Raptors 100-81. I am Vinny from Beat Up Productions, and I will see you tomorrow night.